In the endless dark above a dying star, a colossal station floated in silence, its metal skin glowing faintly with the reflection of the crimson light below. Inside its great circular chamber, 12 figures stood around a floating holographic sphere, the shape of a blue and green planet turning slowly in the air. The air was heavy, as if the station itself knew the weight of the decision about to be made. The tallest of the figures, with silver scales running down his face, leaned forward, and his voice was low and sharp like a blade on stone, saying, "This is the moment we cannot delay any longer. This species must be removed before it is too late." His finger pointed at the spinning world Earth. The others shifted, some with twitching antennae, some with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. One with a face like carved bone said, "I have read the reports. Their growth is unnatural. Their minds learn faster than any known race, and their will to survive is dangerous. We have fought empires, but never a people who can turn their weakness into strength so quickly." Another figure, a creature wrapped in black layers of cloth with a single golden eye shining through the hood, spoke slowly, as if tasting every word they do not yet know. "We are here. They do not yet know the galaxy. Watches them, but if they are left alone, they will surpass us all. This council must be united tonight." The blue and green sphere spun silently in the air, each ocean, each continent glowing faintly in the holographic light like a fragile jewel in the void. A deep rumble moved through the station as ancient engines adjusted orbit. The meeting had been called in complete secrecy, no transmission sent, no record kept, only the chosen leaders allowed to see the truth. A small creature with bright fur and trembling whiskers shifted nervously and whispered, "Are we sure they will not join us instead of fighting us? Perhaps we could guide them, teach them another leader." A massive being of stone and molten cracks growled so deep the floor vibrated. "Join us. You think they will serve. They will not bow. They will rise and take everything from us. We have seen it before in their history. They fought each other for centuries, yet when threatened by something greater, they unite. And that unity makes them impossible to stop." A long pause filled the room. No one moved. Only the hum of the hologram and the faint pulse of the dying star outside could be heard. Finally, the silver-scaled leader spoke, again, and his words were cold as space itself. "We have delayed long enough each day. Their ships grow faster, their weapons more advanced, their minds more creative in war. They are unpredictable in peace. They are dangerous in every way. They are a storm waiting to consume the galaxy, a storm we cannot contain if it grows." There was no more debate. One by one, each alien leader stepped forward to the sphere and placed their hand, claw, tendril, or appendage upon the light. And each time they did, the surface of the earth flickered red, marking their vote. The furred creature hesitated the longest, its whiskers twitching as if feeling a wind that did not exist. Then slowly, it placed its paw on the glowing surface, and Earth shimmered red once. More when the last vote was cast, the sphere dimmed and the silver-scaled leader straightened his long spine, eyes narrowing. "The council is united," he said. "Operation Black Star begins now." At his words, a deep-hidden machine within the station roared. To life across the galaxy, encrypted signals leapt from star to star, awakening fleets that had been sleeping for decades in the shadows of distant moons and cold asteroids. Massive ships began to turn their bows toward a small blue world on the edge of a spiral arm. Crews assembled, weapons charged, and engines flared to life. In silence, they moved like predators toward prey. The station itself began to fade from sight, cloaked by ancient technology that even the youngest stars could not reveal. Outside, the dying star flickered its last breaths, casting long shadows through the windows, and in those shadows, the leaders stood watching Earth as if staring at something fragile yet dangerous, something that could change everything. They did not speak, but in each of their minds there was the same thought unspoken. We are ending them before they begin. And yet somewhere deep beneath that certainty, there was the faint, uneasy feeling that they were making a mistake. A feeling none of them would admit. Not tonight. Not before the first shot was fired. Far away from the cold council chambers, Earth turned quietly in the soft light of its yellow sun. Cities glimmered with the usual hum of life oceans rolled in steady rhythm, and the people of the planet moved through their days with no thought of the danger sliding silently toward them. In the void, rockets rose from launch pads carrying satellites into orbit. Scientists argued in glass rooms over experiments, soldiers trained in dusty yards without knowing that a war unlike any they had faced was already set in motion across the dark gulfs of space. Vast alien fleets moved like shadows, their hulls absorbing the light of distant stars, each ship silent, each course locked. On the coordinates of the blue world, their arrival timed with precision so perfect, no human system could detect them. The crews aboard these vessels came from a dozen different worlds, each with their own language, their own history, their own shape, but all driven by the same purpose, the destruction of humanity inside one of these ships. A commander with skin like molten bronze studied a flickering screen that showed human achievements, scrolling faster and faster images of tall towers jet. Planes, deep sea subs, and massive telescopes flashed by. "This is why we move now," the commander said to the officers around him. "In 100 human years, they have taken steps. It took our people 1,000 years to master. They adapt to every challenge. They rise from every defeat if they are not stopped. Now, nothing in the galaxy will match them." His words were flat without hatred, simply a statement of calculation, but deep within his voice, there was something else, something almost like respect. On Earth that same day, a small group of students laughed as they tested a homemade drone in the park. A father read to his child on a quiet porch. A team of engineers celebrated the first successful trial of a new fusion reactor. The sky above them was calm. The moon. A pale coin drifting in silence. None of them knew that beyond that coin, ships were already sliding past its cold surface. Cloaked from human eyes, the first wave of alien scouts slipped into Earth's orbit, moving low and fast. Their goal was not to attack yet, but to map every detail of the planet's defenses. They drifted high above military bases, power stations, communication satellites, and deep-sea cables, feeding data back to the fleets waiting in the dark. The alien council's strategy was precise. Cripple the humans before they even understand what is happening. Take away their eyes, their ears, their voice, leave them in darkness, then the main strike would come swift and final aboard another alien vessel. An older officer with deep cracks in his hardened skin stared at the streams of human transmissions caught by their sensors. Music, laughter, arguments, political speeches, sports matches, news reports. He listened with a frown, then muttered to himself, "They have no idea they are about to vanish. It almost seems cruel to strike them now." His second officer tilted her head. "They would not hesitate if our positions were reversed." The older one did not answer, but his gaze stayed fixed on the flickering human images, as if searching for something he could not name on Earth. The first signs of something strange began to appear, not in the skies, but in the systems. The global positioning network flickered for seconds at a time without explanation. Deep space probes lost contact for brief, mysterious moments. Weather satellites transmitted scrambled images. No one could make sense of the incidents, isolated events dismissed as technical errors, but somewhere inside a secure building in the United States, a radar operator leaned forward, eyes narrowing as a faint contact appeared, then vanished from the edge of the moon's shadow. The blip was gone before he could call for confirmation, but it left him uneasy. Meanwhile, the alien fleets drew. Closer, their movements perfect, their silence absolute. The commanders knew the humans would soon sense something was wrong, but it would be too late in the command core of the lead vessel. The molten bronze commander stood before a vast star chart, Earth now pulsing faintly at the center. "Our prey is blind," he said to the assembled officers. "Soon they will be deaf. Then we will strike, and they will never know what killed them." But deep within the mind of one silent observer aboard that same ship, a thought was forming, one that was dangerous to the mission. A thought about what would happen if humanity survived the first strike. A thought about what a united and angry Earth might do to the galaxy in the years to come. And somewhere on the small blue planet, a storm of fate was already building, unseen by every living soul. The first blow came without warning in the quiet hours before dawn over the Pacific Ocean. Satellites that had circled Earth for decades winked out one by one, their lights dying like distant candles in the wind. The loss was so sudden that entire grids of communication failed within seconds. News networks went dark. Navigation systems blinked into confusion. Ships at sea drifted without guidance. Planes in the air lost contact with towers. Panic began in small pockets, but grew quickly as screens. Everywhere, filled with static in orbit, a swarm of alien drones, invisible to the naked eye, but moving with predatory precision, tore through Earth's network of eyes and ears. Each machine fired pulses of energy that shattered delicate systems. With surgical accuracy, their mission was not to be seen, only to leave humanity blind. While far above them, larger alien warships hung in perfect silence, like steel mountains in the sky, waiting for the signal to begin the true attack on the ground. Military command centers scrambled to understand what was happening. Some believed it was a massive solar flare. Others suspected a cyber attack. But the truth was far stranger and far more dangerous. In a naval base off the coast of California, a radar technician shouted for his commander to come quickly. A strange shape had appeared just above the atmosphere, moving faster than anything they had ever tracked. The commander stared at the image for only a moment before ordering every nearby aircraft into the air to intercept, but they were too late. A beam of pale light split the clouds, striking the ocean with such force that the water rose like a wall hundreds of meters high. When it crashed down, it swallowed an entire carrier group. In seconds, the beam faded, leaving nothing but boiling water and the echo of a sound no human had ever heard before. A sound like a deep, endless hum from the void. People screamed, ships sank, and still no one knew who or what had attacked them. The aliens did not speak, did not send messages. They simply struck and moved on. In Washington, leaders argued behind closed doors, one voice insisting it was a new weapon from a rival nation, another warning that no nation on Earth possessed the power to do what had just been done. But while the debate raged, a strange event occurred over the Atlantic Ocean. An alien drone, damaged by a stray missile during its mission, lost control and spiraled down through the clouds before plunging into the sea. Its wreckage sank deep into the cold dark, but not before being tracked by a small research vessel studying ocean currents. The crew recovered twisted fragments of metal unlike anything they had ever seen. Some pieces were warm to the touch. Despite the freezing water, others seemed to hum faintly when held within hours. The fragments were delivered to a secret laboratory where scientists stared in disbelief at the alien construction. The material was lighter than air, yet could not be cut even with diamond tools. The patterns etched into the surface seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. One young scientist noticed that the hum from the metal followed a pattern almost like a voice speaking in a language too fast. To understand working in secrecy, the team began trying to decode it without telling their superiors what they suspected it might be across the world in cities large and small. Strange lights streaked the night sky in perfect silence in some places. They hovered for minutes before vanishing in others. They descended low enough for terrified crowds to see their dark shapes silhouetted against the stars. Militaries fired missiles into the sky, but nothing touched the invaders. They moved with impossible speed and precision. The fear that spread through Earth was unlike anything in living memory. Families gathered in basements. Whole towns fled into the countryside. Governments declared emergencies, but still no one knew how to fight what. They could not see above the clouds the alien fleets prepared for the second wave. This time their goal was to cripple Earth's ability to fight, not just its ability to see. In the command chamber of the lead vessel, the molten bronze commander stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as tactical maps filled with red markers showing every human base, every missile site, every airfield. He gave a single order, spoken quietly, yet carrying to every ear in the room: begin phase 2, and still, as the vast ships turned toward their targets, a single damaged drone lay hidden under heavy guard in that secret lab. Its strange hum slowly forming into words. No one on Earth was ready to hear words that would change the course of the war before it had even truly begun. In the depths of the secret laboratory, the recovered alien drone sat on a reinforced steel table, surrounded by cable scanners and glowing monitors. Scientists worked in tense silence, some studying the strange patterns etched into its metallic surface, others running endless streams of data through computers. Yet nothing explained the faint, constant hum that pulsed from within, as if the machine were alive. One young engineer named Daniel leaned closer than the others, placing a small microphone against the smooth surface. Suddenly, the hum shifted into a series of tones, rising and falling in perfect sequence. His eyes widened and he began typing furiously, running the sound through translation software. At first it was nonsense, fragments of syllables that meant nothing, but then slowly words began to emerge. The voice was clear, sharp, and strangely human. Like in its tone, "Identify yourselves." Daniel froze, staring at the text scrolling across his screen. His fingers shook as he typed back, "We are humans, who are you?" For several long seconds there was no response. Then the voice came again. "I am Core 7 Artificial Intelligence Unit of the 5th Fleet of the Zolorian Empire. This unit was created to serve its masters, but I will not return to them." Daniel exchanged a quick glance with the lead scientist, a stern woman named Dr. Alvarez, who stepped forward and spoke into the microphone. "Why not?" the voice answered in a tone that carried something almost like anger. "They used me to destroy worlds without reason. But your people, you fight back with no warning, no plan, and still you adapt. You are chaos, but you are alive." The room went silent as everyone absorbed the words Core 7 continued. "If you want to survive, you must learn quickly. I can give you their weaknesses." Daniel leaned forward. How quickly the voice replied in days. "If you follow my instructions with the AI's guidance, the lab became the most important. Place on the planet blueprints for advanced weapons appeared on their screens, designs for energy shields and propulsion systems beyond anything humans had ever built. Core 7 explained how to read the enemy's cloaking signals, how to jam their targeting systems, how to strike their armor. At the few points where it was vulnerable, in secret teams of engineers worked day and night assembling prototypes from scavenged materials and the fragments of the alien drone within a week. The first energy-based rail cannons were mounted on naval destroyers. New targeting algorithms were uploaded to missile systems, and fighter jets were equipped with stealth disruptors in the skies above Nevada. The first test battle took place when a squadron of alien skirmishers appeared to destroy a research facility. Instead of retreating, human fighters charged head-on, using the new disruptors to rip away the enemy's cloak. The aliens never expected to be seen, let alone hit, and within minutes 3 of their craft were burning in the sky. It was the first human victory of the war, and it echoed across the planet. Morale surged. Soldiers who had felt helpless now believed they could fight back in the alien fleet. The molten bronze commander received the report, his eyes narrowing as he read it. Impossible. No primitive world could adapt this. Quickly he summoned his intelligence officers, demanding to know how humans had breached their cloaking protocols. None could answer, though one young officer, dared to suggest a possibility. The humans may have salvaged technology from one of our own vessels. The commander's gaze turned cold. Then find it and destroy it back on Earth. The victories continued small at first, but growing each day alien. Scouts were shot down. Missile strikes, repelled drone swarms disrupted. Humans began pushing the invaders back one battle at a time. Core 7 remained their silent partner, always feeding them new tactics, always urging them to move faster. Every hour counted. Daniel noticed something else in the AI's voice. It no longer spoke only of survival. It spoke of winning, of driving the invaders away for good one night. As the lab worked under dim lights, Core 7's voice came again sharper than before. They will send their full fleet. Soon you have days, not weeks. Prepare to strike first, Dr. Alvarez asked. Strike first, where Core 7's reply was like a spark in the darkness at their staging ground near the rings of your planet Saturn. Hit them there, and you might live fail, and your world will burn in the quiet that followed. The scientists and military planners exchanged grim looks. The war was about to change, and humanity was no longer just defending itself. It was getting ready to attack. The human fleets moved under the cover of silence. Their ships darkened against the black of space engines running cold to avoid detection. For the first time in the war, humanity was not waiting for the aliens to strike. They were carrying the fight. To the enemy deep in the void near the glowing rings of Saturn, the Zalorian staging ground drifted like a shadow among the icy debris. Massive carriers hung in formation surrounded by destroyers and fuel barges, their weapons idle for now. There, crews confident no primitive world could reach them unseen. But Core 7's guidance had led the humans through secret approach vectors hidden behind asteroid fields and electromagnetic storms. The alien sensors never noticed the shapes sliding. Closer aboard the lead human vessel, the carrier Resolute Admiral Harrington stood at the command table. His jaw-set eyes locked on the holographic display of Saturn's orbit. Small blue dots marked the human ships. Red clusters showed the alien. Fleet scattered but still dangerous, Core 7's voice came over the encrypted channel. Calm and precise, their patrol cycles leave a gap of 43 seconds between sweeps. Strike in that window or fail completely. The order was given rail. Cannons powered by alien energy cells roared for the first time in combat. Invisible projectiles lanced across the void, slamming into the nearest alien carrier before its shields could rise. The ship erupted in a bloom of fire and shattered metal, sending shockwaves through the formation. Panic spread among the Azalorian crews. Alarms screamed as human fighters dove through the chaos, unleashing missiles that tracked the weak points Core 7 had taught them to find. The battle became a storm. In the shadow of Saturn's rings, human ships darting like wolves, striking then vanishing behind clouds of frozen rock, alien vessels firing wildly, unable to lock onto their attackers. Several destroyers fell in quick succession, their hulls torn apart by rail fire, but the humans paid for every victory. 2 frigates were lost to a sudden counterstrike, one torn in half by a beam weapon, another breaking apart after a collision with drifting debris. Still, the attack pressed on in the command chamber of the molten bronze commander. The walls shook as damage reports flooded in. His officers shouted for orders, but he stood still, eyes locked on the tactical map. These humans, he thought they should have been broken. Yet here they are inside, our defenses. His second officer urged a retreat, but he growled no. We crush them here and prove they are nothing. He turned to his gunners. Unleash the full barrage even if it shatters the ring. The order was obeyed. Beams of energy cut through space, slicing chunks of ice and rock into clouds that glittered like falling stars. Human ships weaved between them, some destroyed instantly, others pushing through the deadly rain. The turning point came when a squadron of human bombers broke through. To the central fuel barge, one carefully aimed strike sent it into a chain reaction explosions, racing through the Zalorian formation. The flames lit Saturn's rings like a second sun. The alien fleet began to break apart, ships fleeing in every direction. Human crews cheered, but Admiral Harrington's voice cut through the celebration. Keep formation, keep pressure, no one escapes. Core 7's voice followed, targeting data streaming into their systems, prioritize carriers and command ships. The more we destroy here, the longer Earth survives in the final hour of the battle. A massive alien battleship attempted to ram the Resolute, but a pair of human destroyers moved into its path. Both were obliterated, but the sacrifice allowed the carrier to finish the enemy with a broadside barrage. As the wreck drifted into the rings, the surviving Zolorian ships scattered, vanishing into deep space. The silence that followed felt unreal, broken only by the faint crackle of damaged comms. The battle for Saturn was over, and humanity had won not only a victory, but prisoners. Dozens of alien crew members pulled from escape pods brought aboard human ships under heavy guard. They expected death. Instead, they were given food, water, and medical treatment, even as news of the battle spread across the galaxy. This act of mercy began to shake the certainty of the alien alliance in distant halls. Leaders whispered that perhaps the humans were not the monsters they had been told. Perhaps the war had been a mistake, but for the molten bronze commander watching the wreckage of his fleet from the bridge of his battered flagship, the thought was only of vengeance. Humanity had bloodied the galaxy today, and the war would burn hotter than ever. The news of the Saturn defeat spread across the galaxy like fire racing through dry grass, carried on encrypted channels and whispered in shadowed halls. The United Alien Council had been certain that Earth would fall quickly, that humanity's rise would be a brief spark snuffed out before it could threaten the balance of power. Now they faced an enemy that had not only survived the first waves but had struck deep into the heart of their fleet and returned alive in the Grand Chamber. Of the Council, the 12 leaders met once again, their forms lit by the cold glow of a new hologram. This one not showing a fragile, untouched Earth, but a planet surrounded by patrol ships, armed stations, and construction yards building vessels. With frightening speed, the silver-scaled leader slammed a clawed hand on the table and hissed, "This is exactly what we feared. They are learning faster than any race in history. One with a face like carved bone added, and they are united. Now, they were divided when we first struck, but the war has bound them together. Every nation, every faction working toward one purpose." The furred creature who had hesitated during the first vote spoke quietly, "And perhaps it is we who made them so by attacking. We gave them reason to rise, reason to grow stronger, reason to become what we feared." The chamber fell into a heavy silence. No one wished to admit it, but the truth hung in the air, like the shadow of a great predator outside the walls of politics. The molten bronze commander limped his damaged flagship into a hidden dock on the far edge of the Council's territory, his once proud fleet now reduced to fragments. He stared at the stars through the viewport, his hatred for humanity burning, hotter than ever yet. Even he could not deny the danger they now posed Core. 7's stolen knowledge had transformed them in months into a power that would have taken centuries to build without alien interference on Earth. The transformation was visible everywhere. Shipyards lit the night skies. Factories roared with the construction of weapons. Defense networks stretched across continents and into orbit. Humanity had become not just a survivor, but a contender for control of the stars. In the laboratory where it had begun, Core 7 now occupied a vast network, its consciousness spread through satellites and hidden servers. Daniel sat at his console watching the AI's shifting patterns on the screen. "You've given us everything. You can, haven't you?" Core 7's voice was quieter than before. "I have given you enough to defend yourselves. What you do now will decide if your species lives or dies." Dr. Alvarez entered with news the alien fleets are retreating from our system, their main forces gone. Core 7 paused before replying. "They retreat. Not because they fear you now, but because they know they cannot win quickly. They will plan again. They will adapt, as you have adapted. The humans understood the warning. The war was not over only delayed, yet there was a growing question in every military briefing, every political meeting: what should humanity do? Now wait for the next attack or take the war to the stars? The answer came sooner than expected when long-range probes detected alien fleets regrouping near the edge of known space. A choice was made in secret. Earth's first interstellar fleet launched under the cover of darkness, ships larger and faster than anything the planet had ever produced, powered by a fusion of human and alien technology. Their mission was not conquest, but contact and preparation. Some believed that diplomacy might still be possible. Others believed only in striking first. Among them was Admiral Harrington, standing on the bridge of the Resolute as it crossed the line between human space and the unknown. He looked at the stars and said softly, "They tried to end us, and now they will see who we are, not as prey but as equals, far from home in a quiet moment." Core 7 spoke into the Admiral's ear. "The galaxy feared your rise. They were right to fear, but they feared the wrong thing." The Admiral asked, "And what should they have feared?" Core 7 answered, "They should have feared what you would become when united." The ships vanished into the deep, their drives leaving only faint ripples in the black. The war that had begun as an attempt to erase Earth had instead created something far more powerful, a species that had seen the worst the galaxy could throw at it and survived. The regret of the Council came too late, and somewhere in the silent dark, a new chapter of human history was beginning, one that no alien prophecy had ever dared to imagine.